Well, I finally got the phone call. I have to go to work. So I'm on my way to a new job to try it out, see what I think of it. It's a job I've avoided for years. I'm going logging. And I've always avoided logging because I did not want to chain up in the mud multiple times a day. But this one's different. This is highway hauling. It's long logs, long haul, and big trucks and big loads. And I'm on my way to pick up a truck right now. I have no idea what kind of truck it is yet. It's got a day cab, no sleeper. And I have to drive that 635 kilometers to a dealer and pick up a new Peterbilt there with a sleeper. And that will be my truck that I'm living in. So we're driving 2 different trucks this week. And we'll go learn about this logging stuff. So let's go get a truck. Alright, which truck am I taking? Unit 122 we're looking for. 118. There it is. Alright, what do we get? What do we get? We got a Western Star. Alright, let's have a look at this thing. So we have a 2022 Western Star with a Detroit in it. And the first thing I noticed is how quiet it is when I start it up. It's really quiet. Oh, right now what you're hearing is actually the air compressor. Headlights are pretty cool looking. And I'm just delivering this one to a shop, dealer. So I don't have to mess with this trailer, that'll be on the next one. But give you a rundown on this thing. So we got a tri-drive. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty long setup once you get that other trailer back there. And the disappointing part to me is it's an automatic. I don't get to shift. We got an automatic. That's my shifting right there. It's a really big cab. I was concerned about how much gear can I bring because I'm going from a day cab. And I have to take all my bedding, my clothes for the week, my food, water, that kind of stuff, and then move into another one in a sleeper. So I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I can't say I'm impressed with how this driver keeps the truck. It's filthy in here. I haven't figured out where the high idle is. I think they are usually on, usually they're on the steering wheel on some of these new ones, but I don't know where it is in here. So I'll move into this thing, and we're actually going to take the route from Little Fort to 100 Miles so I can see what this thing's like on a hill in an automatic. I have no idea what these things make for power. I've always wanted to know in these logging trucks because I know some of them are spectacular. So let's move into this thing. All right, we're ready to roll. I was able to fit all of my gear in here that I need for the sleeper. And even the passenger seat in this thing has all the options and heated and all that good stuff. I was looking at the door tag. We are 560 horse in this thing. Just so yeah. Better get my seatbelt on. And we are rolling. That's it. I don't get to shift. That's no fun. Wow, this is weird. No shifting for 635 kilometers. Alright, I gotta lock the gate and then we'll hit the road. We're on a hill climb. I believe this is a 9% grade, and I've been holding 68 kilometers an hour all the way up the hill. This thing is really smooth. The turning radius on it is spectacular. Like possibly the best out of any truck I've ever driven. It makes such sharp, awesome turns, which I guess is important in a logging truck. The way this trailer tracks is actually really decent. When I'm in town, you know, making a right-hand turn at a stop sign, a 90-degree turn, the trailer doesn't cut in near as much as a lot of the tankers I've driven, which means it's way less stressful to drive around. And engine brake, for those of you that don't know, these automatics, I believe most of them is this lever here. You just turn that down and your engine brake comes on, which I'm used to it being on the dash somewhere, and usually you gotta find it while you're driving. So that makes it easy. The shifting in this thing is weird because there's so much lag and hesitation when it shifts. So if you come to a stop sign in town and you decide, oh, I want to be assertive, there's a hole I can make it in between, you know, traffic. Let's just say it's not an assertive truck. If you come to a stop sign and then you decide I'm going right away and you stomp on it, you might be counting alligators sitting there waiting for it to go. Like, I'm talking 3 seconds before anything happens, which I don't understand the thinking in that design. What is the purpose of that, and why do you guys not make them like a normal automatic? Why does it not just engage when you step on it? So you're sitting there waiting around. And shifting in the bottom end gears is really slow. Like, this is not a speed demon in any way. But it's very relaxing to drive because I don't have to operate a clutch. My right arm's not shifting gears non-stop. I just hold the pedal down the whole time. My legs are nice and relaxed, which I know a lot of guys on the pipeline, and they actually get really tired driving these because there's nothing to do. So they speed more usually. But yeah, it sure is quiet. You get a lot more tire noise than you do from the truck itself. Because it does have pretty aggressive tires, being it's a logging truck. See, that was a really slow shift. But it is nice to drive. Oh, and the ride. The ride, even though I'm not loaded, I just have the empty trailer behind me. When you hit the bumps, it is really nice. I'm not sure about this seat yet. I've been out of the seat for 3 months, so I'm getting used to it again. We'll see by the time I get to the end of this trip. So I found the high idle. You have to use the buttons here and scroll through the dash, and it's just a feature on the dash. You can raise the RPM. It's very simple. A lot of them you have, I know on the other Western Stars I've driven, you know, they have all these different buttons, and there's a procedure. You gotta have the cruise control on, you gotta hold the high idle down and a couple of seconds for it to engage. So, a lot of the features in this truck have made it just easier for you to be a truck driver. But I like the old school trucks with, you know, with the cat motor, loud turbos, big power, all the manual switches, where you get to shift all day long. I enjoy that. I was looking forward to shifting, so I'm hoping the truck I'm getting into tonight is an 18-speed. When you're driving big trucks or working on the pipeline in the oil field, you have to learn to adapt to things really quickly. You know, like on the pipeline, all of a sudden you're living in camp, and you go from your home life to you're living in camp, strange surroundings, strange bed, and your normal routines are completely different. Your whole lifestyle is different. You don't have everything from home. then you get in a truck and they want to change the truck you're driving and what you're doing every day. And a lot of guys get really bent out of shape when your dispatcher says, you know, you're going here today. Like, for example, this job, I was headed to Smithers, BC. And so I mentally prepare, okay, that's a pretty long journey for me. I think it's around 11 or 1,200 kilometers. And within 5 hours, my journey completely changed to, I'm going to Alberta, doing a whole different job. So you can't let all of your emotions and your feelings get involved because you had your heart set on, okay, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing. You know, like on the last job, I had to drive a different vehicle every single day. I had 3 different tankers. Sometimes someone else might have to drive your tanker or your vehicle, and they don't treat it the same way you do. You get in, it's dirty, there's garbage everywhere, the truck's all messed up, it's broken. So all of those feelings that you're dragging around with you, getting angry, getting mad, getting emotional, they just tire you out. They don't do you any good. So that's my advice to you if you're becoming a trucker. Learn to adapt really quick and leave your feelings at home. Your job is to just drive stuff, drive what they tell you, haul what they tell you, not bring your feelings to the table. One more little tip, because I know there's a lot of new guys that are going to get their licenses these days. And a lot of you are getting your Class 3 because it's so much cheaper and less expensive. But when you get in these trucks, they have a battery switch down by the driver's seat. Just down here. A lot of guys, when they get out of the truck, they turn that battery switch off and it shuts the whole power off to the truck. Which is smart. You should always do that. But I've driven to Kenworth where we couldn't find a battery switch, and it's actually under the passenger seat, not by the door, but by the shifter. So on the inside. And in the dark, they're impossible to find when they move them like that. So just a little tip in case you guys are looking for that switch because you're having trouble starting the truck. So here's something weird. I decided to turn the radio on because I wanted to see what the sound system sounds like. And of course, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm coming up to a town called Lone Butte. It might be pronounced Butte, but it's Lone, L-O-N-E, Butte, B-U-T-T-E. You know what that means? That means I'm in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. And I turn the radio on, and only one station comes in. And the topic, it's some kind of talk show. And the topic I hear is gender dysmorphia, which I've never heard that term in my life before. I have some specialist who's created a gender care clinic. There's another term I've never heard before. So I had to listen to this because, you know, I only have one channel out here. And it brings a lot of questions for me around this topic. Now, let's say you have a friend who's been a gangster his whole life. And he's the kind of friend that you could call upon on anything. I mean, the kind of friend who will show up and stab someone in the back if they even eyeball you wrong. That kind of friend. So if you have that kind of a friend who's that loyal to you, and that friend decides, hey, I think I'm going to be a woman now. What do? Do you disown that friend? Do you just kind of stand back and watch the changes, pay attention and witness what's happening? For me, I have a lot of questions for that friend. I have a need that I want to understand what's going on. So, if I had a friend like that, how interested would you guys be in discussing things with this friend of mine? From full-on gangster, been in prison, to, hey, I want to be a woman now. So I got lots of questions. Anybody want to tackle that topic one day on this channel? Let me know. Here's the big town of Lone Butte. Antiques. A gas station with cold beer and liquor. Yeah, oh, what is that? High Ground Cafe. And that's the local automotive shop, and that's it. Oh, I think there was a sporting goods shop further back. Big town, hey? I just noticed that around probably 99 kilometers an hour, I have a bit of a wobble. I'm guessing there's probably some mud in the tires. And I'll give you a little rundown on the stereo in this thing. I've been playing it for a little while now. And if you ever bought car audio equipment in the 80s and 90s, you'd go to your car audio shop and buy a pair of 6x9s that could handle 120 watts. And then the deck you could afford only put out 15 watts per speaker. And that's what this reminds me of. It's a whole lot of high-pitched sounds and not a lot of great bass, a lot of distortion. And I have tinnitus from riding motorcycles and driving trucks for so many years. I didn't realize, I just remembered that I've actually been driving truck for 15 years now. So I have that high-pitched ringing in my ears. So anytime I have a stereo that's really loud with a lot of highs in it, as opposed to more bass, it makes the ringing in my ears so much worse. So I would prefer a little more bass and not quite as loud. But yeah, it's definitely not a high quality stereo. If you want to hook up Bluetooth, you have to stop the truck to do it. You can't do it on the fly. And a gentleman commented in one of my other trucking videos about the interlocker axle. He says that you're supposed to just leave it locked in all winter long because it's meant for clawing. And a majority of these new trucks I have driven, the interlocker doesn't actually engage unless you're under 60 kilometers an hour. So what is that, like 35 miles an hour roughly? So yeah, that doesn't really work, just leaving it locked in all winter long. I'm getting into some corners now. And you can really just keep your foot down in this thing because it's not overpowered, so it doesn't go too fast. I haven't really gone faster than the speed limit, so I don't know if it's a speed limiter in it or not, but it doesn't go that fast anyway. And it handles the corners really well. You can literally just put your foot down and drive this thing with one hand all day long. It's very stable, very smooth. I have to say I like it. I never did like Western Star, but the newer ones I'm really enjoying them. I got to drive a $1 million semi-vac last year and it was really nice to drive, but this is a complete opposite end of the spectrum compared to the one I was driving. The one I was driving was deleted, it was noisy, you know, it had a lot of grrr to it. And when when you're downshifting, and it just made lots of racket. It had a beautiful sleeper, nice interior, and this is just smooth and quiet and handles nice. So, I like it. It's a nice truck. Testing. Now that I have about 550, 600 kilometers on this thing, I'm starting to notice little stuff like, the size of the windshield is really nice. I like the Motorola radio mounted right there. It's handy, it's not in your way. And I just noticed the hood. It's almost a full width hood. Normally when I've been driving all the other trucks, they have a center section for the hood and they have big rounded fenders. But this hood is, it makes the truck feel a lot wider than the other trucks, even though it isn't. Oh yeah, and it turned into winter really quickly. But I just realized that while I was driving, that this thing, now that the lanes have gotten narrower, that's when I noticed that this hood is really wide. Things just got ugly real fast. Wow. That's not a good time. Well, we're here. That's it for this joyride. And I thought I was getting a Peterbilt. It looks like I'm getting another Western Star just with a small sleeper, so hopefully it's a standard. We'll see you in the next video.